The rain fell slowly over the alien city, cold and silent. Tall towers of metal and glass rose into the dark sky, glowing with sharp blue lights. For most aliens, this city was a place of pride and strength. But for Lyra, it had become a place of rejection. Lyra stood at the edge of a narrow street, holding a small bag in her trembling hands. Inside it were a few old clothes and a broken data pad that no longer worked. That was all her family allowed her to take. Behind her, the door of her family home was closed, not locked. Closed forever. You are too weak, her mother had said. Earlier, her voice cold and firm. You cannot work. You cannot fight. You only take resources, her father added without looking at her. You are a burden to us all, her older brother said, turning away in shame. In their world, strength was everything. If you could not contribute, you did not belong. Kindness was seen as weakness. Care was seen as waste. Lyra was born different. Her body was fragile. Her energy levels were low. She could not lift heavy loads or join the city guard like other young aliens. Doctors said she would always need help. That was the moment her family decided she was no longer worth keeping. Now, standing alone in the rain, Lyra felt smaller than ever. She looked at the glowing windows around her. Inside those homes were families laughing, eating, resting together. None of them noticed the weak alien girl outside. None of them cared. Her legs shook as she tried to walk forward. Each step felt heavier than the last. The cold rain soaked her thin clothes. Her breathing became slow and painful. This is it, she thought. This is where my life ends. In alien society, abandoned ones rarely survive the night. She reached a dark corner near the lower transport lanes and slowly sat down. Her vision blurred. The city noises faded. Even fear left her heart, replaced by empty silence. Then, a sound, a deep humming noise echoed through the street, different from alien vehicles. Lower, rougher. Lyra forced her eyes open. A strange ship hovered above the road. Its shape was simple, strong, and clearly not alien-made. The metal looked worn, scratched by travel. Lights along its side blinked softly, not sharp like alien tech. A human ship. Humans were rare in this sector. Most aliens believed they were reckless, emotional, and weak-minded. Some even said humans were dangerous because they cared too much. The ship slowly landed. A ramp lowered with a quiet hiss. Lyra tried to move away, fear flashing through her. Weak body, but she had no strength left. Heavy footsteps approached. A tall human stepped down the ramp. He wore a simple exploration suit, marked by dust and travel scars. His face showed signs of exhaustion, but his eyes were alert. Curious, he stopped when he saw her. An alien girl, alone, shaking, left to die. The human frowned. In his travels, he had seen many harsh worlds. He had seen cruelty, war, and cold laws. But something about this moment struck deep inside him. He knelt down slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Hey." "Easy," he said softly, his voice calm and warm. "I won't hurt you." Lyra stared at him in confusion. Humans were not supposed to speak gently. They were not supposed to kneel before the weak. She tried to speak, but only a faint sound came out. The human noticed her condition immediately. Weak pulse, shallow breathing, severe exhaustion. He activated his unit. "Medical kit," he said quickly. From the ship, a small drone floated out, carrying supplies. Lyra's eyes widened. Why? Why would he help me? Aliens passed by at a distance, watching. Some shook their heads. "She is broken," one alien whispered. "Helping her is pointless," said another. "Humans really are foolish." Someone laughed. The human heard them. He stood up and looked at the watching aliens. "She's alive," he said firmly. "That's reason enough." Those words meant nothing to alien society. But to Lyra, they meant everything. The human gently lifted her into his arms. She expected pain, but his grip was careful and steady, warm. Safe. As he carried her toward the ship, Lyra felt something she had never felt before. Hope. But deep inside the city, unseen eyes watched the human leave. Word began to spread. A weak alien girl had been taken by a human. And soon, the world that abandoned her would come asking questions. To be continued. The inside of the human ship felt very different from the alien city. The lights were soft, not sharp. The air was warm and steady. Nothing felt cold or judging. Lyra lay on a small medical bed, wrapped in a clean thermal blanket. Machines hummed quietly around her, checking her weak body. She slowly opened her eyes. For a moment, she thought she was dead, but then she saw the human. He sat on a nearby crate, helmet removed, cleaning his hands carefully. His movements were slow and calm, not rushed. When he noticed her eyes open, he froze. "Oh, good," he said softly. "You're awake." Lyra tried to sit up, panic rising in her chest. Humans were outsiders. Dangerous, according to everything she had been taught. "Easy," the human said quickly, standing up. "You're safe. Don't move too fast." Safe. That word felt strange to her. She looked around the ship. No restraints, no guards, no scanners judging her value. "Why?" she whispered, her voice weak and broken. "Why did you bring me here?" The human paused. He clearly did not expect the question. "Because you were dying," he said simply. Lyra stared at him, confused. "That's not a reason," she replied. "Aliens die every day." The human frowned, then shook his head. "It is a reason," he said. "At least, it is for humans." He introduced himself as Evan, a long-range human explorer. He had been mapping trade routes when his sensors detected her weak life signal on the street. "I almost thought it was an error," he admitted. "But I checked anyway." That small decision had saved her life. Evan handed her a small container of warm nutrient drink. "Slow sips," he said. Lyra obeyed. The warmth spread through her body, easing the pain she had carried for so long. No one had ever done this for her before. As she drank, alarms suddenly beeped. Evan's expression changed. "Stay here," he said firmly. He moved to the control panel and looked at the external feed. 2 alien patrol vehicles hovered outside the ship. Armed officers stepped out, their faces hard and cold. "They tracked us fast," Evan muttered. A loud knock echoed through the ship. "Human vessel," an alien voice announced. "You are in violation of local law. You have taken a rejected unit. Return it immediately." Rejected unit. That was all she was to them. Lyra's hands trembled. "They want me back," she whispered. "You should give me to them. You'll be punished." Evan turned and looked at her. "No," he said. One simple word. "Strong." Final. He opened the ship's door but did not step aside. "She's under my protection," Evan said to the officers. "She was abandoned. She's injured." The lead officer sneered. "That creature has no value. She was discarded lawfully." Evan clenched his jaw. "Then your law is broken." The surrounding aliens murmured. Some laughed. Others watched in quiet confusion. "You humans are emotional," the officer said. "This weakness will cost you." Evan stepped forward. "You call it weakness," he replied. "We call it responsibility." For a moment, it looked like the patrol would force their way in. Then Evan did something unexpected. He activated a recording. "This ship is registered under interstellar humanitarian codes," he said calmly. "Any attempt to seize a protected civilian will be reported." The officers hesitated. They had power here, but paperwork and attention from the wider galaxy were things even they feared. After a tense silence, the lead officer raised a hand. "Very well," he said coldly. "Keep your burden." The patrols left. Lyra collapsed back onto the bed, shaking. Tears filled her eyes. "You risked everything," she said. "For me." Evan sat beside her. "No," he corrected gently. I did what anyone should have done. She looked at him, truly seeing him now, a human, a stranger. The only one who chose her. For the first time in her life, Lyra allowed herself to cry not from pain, but from relief. But far away, inside the alien city, her family received the report. The weak girl had survived. And she was with a human. Their shame began to turn into anger, and soon they would want her back. To be continued. Lyra slept for a long time, not the painful, broken sleep she was used to, but deep and quiet rest. The kind that slowly pulls a person back from the edge. When she finally opened her eyes, the ship was moving. Stars stretched into long lines outside the small window, silent and endless. She was no longer shaking. Her body still felt weak, but the sharp pain was gone. For the first time in many cycles, Lyra felt alive. She carefully sat up. The blanket slid from her shoulders. On a nearby table sat clean clothes, simple and soft. Not alien uniform cloth meant to last forever, but human fabric meant for comfort. She touched it with careful fingers. Why knows why? Would someone prepare this for me? Evan was at the control station, adjusting course data. He noticed her reflection in the glass. You should still be resting, he said gently. I am resting, Lyra replied. Just awake. Evan smiled slightly and brought her a small meal. Real food, warm, balanced. She ate slowly, watching him. Humans move differently. No sharp motions, no constant judgment. Everything he did felt thoughtful. She ate slowly, watching him. Humans move differently. No sharp motions, no constant judgment. Everything he did felt thoughtful. Why do humans help those who give nothing back? She asked quietly. Evan paused. That's not how we see it, he said. Everyone gives something. Sometimes. It just takes time. Those words stayed with her. As days passed, Lyra slowly grew stronger. She helped where she could, small things. Cleaning, organizing tools, learning how the ship worked. Evan never forced her. He only guided. Every time she succeeded, even in something small, he acknowledged it. Good job, he would say. No one had ever said that to her before. One cycle, the ship stopped at a small trading outpost. Lyra stayed hidden, nervous. Aliens there would not be kind, but trouble came anyway. A heavy crate slipped from a loader unit and crashed near Evan. The machine malfunctioned. Sparks flying. The alien dock workers froze. It was too heavy. Too dangerous. Lyra saw Evan rush forward, trying to pull him clear. But the machine locked. Without thinking, Lyra moved. Her body screamed in protest, but she grabbed the emergency release lever. Evan could not reach. It was difficult. Pain burned through her arms. But she pulled. The machine shut down. Silence filled the dock. Evan turned, shocked. Lyra, how did you? She collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. I helped, she said simply. The watching alien stared. That one is weak, someone muttered. She should not be able to do that, said another. Evan knelt beside her, eyes wide, not with fear, but pride. You saved me, he said. Lyra looked up at him, confused. I was useful? Evan placed a hand on her shoulder. You always were. Later that cycle, as Lyra rested, alien networks began to share reports. A weak, alien girl, surviving with a human, doing things she was never meant to do. Her family saw the footage. They watched her pull the lever. They heard the whispers. They felt something burn inside them. If she could do that, then maybe she was never the problem. And that thought frightened them, because if they were wrong, then they were the ones who failed, far away. Lyra stared out at the stars again. She did not know it yet, but her small act had begun something much larger, a question her people could no longer ignore. What is real strength? To be continued. The alien council chamber was silent. Lyra stood alone at the center of the wide circular hall. Tall alien elders watched from high platforms, their faces cold and unreadable. Bright lights scanned her body, measuring strength, speed, and energy. Numbers appeared on floating screens. The numbers were low. Whispers spread through the chamber. She is still weak. She cannot meet the standard. This trial is pointless. Lyra's hands trembled, but she did not step back. Behind the barrier, Evan stood among the observers. Humans were rarely allowed here, but interstellar law gave him the right to speak for now. The lead counselor raised a clawed hand. "Lyra of House Keln," the counselor said. "You were abandoned for being a burden. You now stand before us. To prove your worth. Fail, and you will be returned to exile." Returned. Lyra swallowed hard. The first test began. A heavy alien tool was placed before her. Others lifted it easily. Lyra tried and failed. The tool fell from her hands. Laughter echoed. The second test measured endurance. She lasted longer than expected, but not long enough. More whispers. Evan clenched his fists. This was wrong. These tests were designed to humiliate, not judge. The final test appeared on the screen. Contribution to society. 0. The counselor turned away. The result is clear. No. The word echoed loudly. Every head turned. Evan had stepped forward. "This trial is flawed," he said calmly. The counselor narrowed its eyes. "You question our laws, human. I question your definition of worth," Evan replied. The chamber erupted in noise. No one had ever said such a thing here. Evan activated a HOLO display. Images appeared. Lyra helping aboard the human ship. Lyra learning systems. Lyra saving Evan at the outpost. Lyra comforting injured workers. "She's alive because she was given a chance," Evan said. "She grew because someone believed in her." The council tried to interrupt, but Evan continued. "You measure strength with numbers," he said. "Humans measure it with actions." Silence returned. One elder leaned forward. "If she is valuable, human, then let her speak." Lyra's heart pounded. She stepped forward slowly. "I am not strong like you," she said softly. "I am not fast. I am not powerful." She looked around the chamber. "But I learn. I help. I do not leave others to die." Her voice shook, but she did not stop. "You taught me I was nothing," she said. "The human taught me I could become something." The council screens flickered. For the first time, the system hesitated. An elder spoke quietly. "This trial does not account for growth," another added, "or compassion." The lead counselor remained silent for a long moment. Then it spoke. "The trial is inconclusive." Gasps filled the chamber. "Inconclusive?" Someone shouted. The counselor raised its hand. "This case challenges our laws." Evan exhaled slowly. Lyra felt her knees weaken, not from fear, but from relief. She was not rejected. Not yet. But far from the council hall, Lyra's family watched the broadcast. They saw her stand tall. They heard her speak. They felt their certainty crumble, and they realized something terrifying. They had not abandoned a burden. They had abandoned potential, and the galaxy was starting to notice. To be continued. The council chamber was still filled with quiet shock. Lyra stood in the center, breathing slowly, trying to calm her shaking hands. The words she had spoken still echoed in her mind. She had never spoken against her people before, never questioned their laws. Now she had. The lead counselor finally moved. "This case has exposed a flaw in our system," it said. "We judge worth only by immediate output. We do not measure change." Murmurs spread across the chamber. Some aliens looked uneasy. Others looked angry. "But weakness cannot be allowed to spread," another elder argued. "If we change the rules for one, we must change them for all." Evan stepped forward again. "That's exactly the point," he said. All eyes turned toward the human on Earth. Evan continued. We don't decide someone's future by what they can do on their worst day. We look at what they can become. And? Elder scoffed. And if they never become useful? Evan answered without hesitation. Then they still deserve to live. The chamber went silent. That idea was more shocking than any rebellion. The counselors exchanged looks. Their world had been built on efficiency, on removing anything that slowed progress. Compassion was not part of their design. Lyra looked up. At them. I do not ask to stay, she said quietly. I only ask to choose my own path. The lead counselor studied her for a long time. At present, it said slowly, our society cannot provide that choice. Lyra's heart sank, then. The counselor turned toward Evan. But interstellar law allows relocation under humanitarian protection. Evan straightened. The human may take responsibility for her, the counselor said. She will no longer be classified as a citizen of this world. Gasps echoed through the hall. Exile, freedom, both at the same time. Evan stepped beside Lyra and placed himself between her and the council, not as a shield, but as a promise. I will take her, he said. As family. That word hit Lyra harder than any insult ever had. Family. Her old family looked on from the observer platform. They could not speak. They could not stop it. For the first time they felt powerless. As Lyra walked toward the exit. Some aliens lowered their eyes. Others watched in confusion. A few looked thoughtful. Outside, the human ship waited. Before boarding, Lyra turned back one last time. I was never your burden, she said calmly. You just never learned how to carry each other. Then she walked away. Inside the ship as it lifted into space, Lyra sat quietly beside Evan. The stars opened before them, bright and endless. What happens now? She asked softly. Evan smiled. Now, he said, you get a second chance. Behind them, alien networks were already reacting. Debates erupted. Questions spread. Protests formed. One human choice had done what alien laws never could. It had forced an entire civilization to look at itself. And far out among the stars, a weak alien girl once abandoned began her new life, not as a burden, but as proof. To be continued. The human ship moved quietly through open space. Stars passed slowly outside the wide front window, bright and endless. For Lyra, the view still felt unreal. Every star looked like a promise. A future she never believed she would see. She sat in the observation seat, hands resting in her lap. She was no longer shaking. She was no longer afraid. She was free. Evan stood beside her, adjusting the ship's course. He did not rush her with questions. Humans, she had learned, respected silence. You regret leaving? He asked gently. Lyra thought for a moment. I regret being told I was nothing, she said. But I do not regret leaving those words behind. Evan nodded. Days turned into weeks. On human stations, Lyra experienced something new every day. Humans greeted her with curiosity, not judgment. They asked her what she liked, not what she could produce. Doctors worked to strengthen her body, but never called her broken. She learned. Slowly, patiently. She helped children in learning halls, explaining alien star maps. She assisted engineers by noticing small details others missed. She listened. When others needed comfort, her strength was quiet but real. News of her story spread across alien systems. Debates erupted. Some called her a symbol of weakness. Others began to question old laws. Quiet changes started where loud ones had failed. Her former family watched from afar. They saw her smile. They saw her stand tall. They saw her belong. And for the first time, they understood their mistake. But it was too late. One evening, Lyra stood beneath an artificial sky on a human world. Evan joined her, handing her a small data tag. It's official, he said. You're a registered citizen, full rights. Lyra stared at the tag, her hands trembling. I have a place?" she asked. Evan smiled warmly. "You always did. You just hadn't found it yet." Lyra looked up at the sky, eyes shining. She was once abandoned as a burden. Now she was a beginning, not just for herself but for two worlds. Learning what it truly meant to be strong. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, an old belief finally began to break, because humanity had shown the stars a simple truth. No life is a burden, only a responsibility. The end?